Welcome to lesson 6.5. In this lesson, we're now going to combine what we did in 6.4 with the distribution law and the expansion. And what we're going to use is we're going to apply that to solving equations. So one of the key uses of algebra is to create a problem in solving it. We're going to start with the solving of equations before we move on to the creation of an equation from a problem. So let's review a simple two-step equation first before we go any further. Consider the following equation: 2x, or 2 times the number, decreased by 5. To solve this, we have to isolate the variable by removing the added or subtracted quantity or component first. So I've got to get rid of the negative 5. So to do that, we start out with, this was your work, you go 2x minus 5 is equal to 11. I've got to get rid of the negative 5. That means I've got to add 5 to both sides. Notice I always put the positive 5 after I've done stuff. I don't go positive 5 2x, because that causes problems. That's a 52x. That's not 5 plus 2. Okay, you'd have to go this way in order to make it correct. So don't do this. Just take the 2x minus 5. You're going to add. This is what the tiles would be. So just add the 5 after that. Okay, so negative 5 and positive 5 give me 0. And 11 and 5 is 16. So now I'm at 2x is equal to 16. So now that I've got that far, I can deal with the 2. I am multiplying by 2 here. So I have to divide by 2. And whatever I do to one side, I must do to both sides. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So x is in fact equal to 8. All right. So now that we've reviewed that, let's take a look at a distribution equation. To solve a distribution equation, the first thing you have to do is to solve the expansion. All right. So if you take a look, what we've got down here, 2 1 to x minus 4 is equal to 6. We have to do this first. Before we can go any further, that's got to be simplified. So turning your page, you'll find on the next page, let's do this expansion. We have 2 1 to x take away 4 is equal to 6. So this becomes 2 1 to x plus 2 1 to negative 4 is equal to 6. Now there's nothing to do on the right side. We're multiplying the left side by 2 because that is where the 2 multiply is. There's nothing that says you have to multiply over on this side at all. So don't touch the 6. Just ignore it for the moment. If you want to, you can just think of it being like this. You're solving the 2 onto x minus 4 before you ever look at going at the other ones. Okay? So once you have that done, the next step is to finish your expansion. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. And now put our 6 back in. So now that the distribution is done, we can now move on to solving the equation. So we have 2x minus 8 is equal to 6. Our first step is to get rid of the subtract 8 or the negative 8. So what I'd like you to do is like you to solve that, please. All right, here we go. I've got to get rid of the subtract 8 by doing an add 8. So 2x take away 8, add 8. 6 add 8. Did it to both sides. So 2x minus 0 is equal to 14. So 2x is 14. Now I'm multiplying by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 cancels, leaving me with 1x is equal to 7. So 7 is our answer. So let's verify to see if we're correct. Now, we have to write down not the two-step equation. We have to go all the way back to our distribution one. And that was 2 on x take away 4 equal to 6. 2 on to x minus 4 is equal to 6. We said x was 7, so take out the x, put a 7 in there. 7 take away 4 is 3. And 2 times 3 is in fact 6, so we know we did it correctly. Okay, let's try another one. This has got a whole bunch of negatives in it, so let's see if you can keep them straight. So I'd like you to try to solve this without my help. Take a crack at it. All right, so here we go. We've got negative 6 onto c take away 9 is equal to negative 42. We're not going to worry about the negative 42 for now. Just put it there, but don't think about it. So negative 6 times c plus negative 6 times negative 9. Notice I keep the negatives with all the numbers and separated them with a plus sign. I still have to keep my negative 42 here because nothing's changed there. Negative 6 times c, remember there's a 1 here, so negative 6 times 1 is negative 6c. Okay. And then I've got negative 6 times negative 9. 6 times 9 is 54, and negative times a negative is a positive, and that's equal to negative 42. So now that the distribution law is finished, we can move on to solving the equation. So on the next page, write the equation down. We had negative 6c plus 54 is equal to negative 42. All right, so now we've got to get rid of the added 54. So negative 6c plus 54, take away 54. Negative 42, take away 54. All right, so this becomes negative 6c. 54 and 54, one being positive, one being negative, becomes 0. Now over here, there seems to always be trouble here. People go 42, take away 54, and come up with, I don't know what it would be, 8. Right? Remember, this is negative 42. Think about this being degrees Celsius, and you're going to go down another 54 degrees Celsius. A negative and a negative, add them together, becomes 96. So that's actually equal to negative 96. So that gives me negative 6c is equal to negative 96. Now, I'm multiplying by negative 6, so I'm going to divide by negative 6. Whatever is on the right-hand side has to be done to both sides, or left-hand side. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and negative divided by negative is positive, so that becomes 1c. And of course, 96 divided by 6 is 16. They're both negatives, so that means we get a positive 16, so c is equal to 16. Now let's check our answer and see if we're correct. Copy down the equation. All right, take out the c, put in 16. 16 take away 9 is a 7. 6 times 7 is 42. The negative sticks around, equals negative 42. So we did do it correctly. Okay. The next step is probably one of the most difficult things we have to do. Difficult things. You have to come up with the equation. And if you get the equation wrong, unfortunately, everything after that is wrong. So you've got to think about it very carefully when you read it. Martha is selling lemonade. She began the day with some money so that she can make change for her customers. Her mom gave her $5 when she left for work. Now this is after she'd already had her change put together. After a few hours of selling, Martha has tripled the money she started with and now has $36. How much change did she start with? So first off, I'm going to select a variable. I'm going to use C because change starts with C. Since she started with the change and her mom added $5, it's going to look like C plus 5. So she had her change, she's walking out the door, and mom goes, "Hey, Martha, here's $5. Okay, so this is what she walks out the door with. See, her change plus the $5 her mom gave her. Okay? If she tripled that, this is what she has. If she triples it, triple means multiplied by 3. And it says here, she now has $36. After it was tripled, she has $36. So there's your equation. C onto 3 onto C plus 5 is equal to 36. Okay, now it's your turn. I want you to turn the page, and I want you to solve this equation. Okay, so copy it down. 3 onto C plus 5 is equal to 36. So now this is the whole thing. I want you to do all the expansion and both two-step equations to solve it for the final answer. So pause the recording and do that. Well, hopefully you got it correct. First thing we need to do is take care of the expansion here. So 3 times 3, so 3 times C, plus 3 times 5 is equal to 36. This becomes 3C plus 15 is equal to 36. So if you did your expansion correctly, there's your first set of marks. Now I've got to get rid of the positive 15 by subtracting 15 from both sides. Okay, so you put a negative 15 with a positive 15. Now the 15's become my zero principal. 36 take away, 15 is 21. So I'm now down to 3C is equal to 21. I'm multiplying the C by 3, so I have to undo multiplication by dividing. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So this becomes 1c is equal to 7, so c is equal to 7. So reality is that Martha had $7 in change when she started, before her mom gave her $5. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. A rectangle has a perimeter of 24 meters. If the length of the rectangle is 8, what is the width? Create an equation you could use to solve this. Then solve the equation using a symbolic method. Okay, now let's take a look at the sketch of a problem. I've got a rectangle, all right? My rectangle looks roughly like this, and it's got a width, W, and it's got a length of 8 meters. And I want to find the perimeter. Now, I don't know if you remember, but the perimeter is the distance around the outside. All right? So I'm going to have 2 W's and 2 8's. So the perimeter is going to be equal to 2 lengths. Sorry, not lengths. Well, this is the first part, length plus width. This is a formula for a perimeter. All right? You do length plus width, and you just double it. All right? So since we know some of this information, we know that perimeter is equal to 2. We know the length given is 8 plus W. We want to find out what W is. So there's your equation. P is equal to 2 onto 8 plus W. Now it tells us what the perimeter is here and says that the P is 24. So now we have even more information. 24 there. So let's go back and just put some simple stuff in here. Perimeter is equal to 2 onto length times width. Sorry, length plus width today. All right. Since we know the length is 8, we substitute in the length. So P is equal to 2 onto 8 plus W. And we know the perimeter is 24, so now we can sub in the perimeter. 24 is equal to 2 onto 8 plus W. Okay, try to lead you through the steps. Okay, so now that you've got that, I want you to solve it. So turn the page and solve for the width. All right, I don't know what yeah, there we go. So 24 is equal to 2 onto 8 plus W. Okay, so pause the recording and solve that equation. All right, so first thing we need to do is our distribution law. 2 times 8 plus 2 times W. 24 does not go anywhere. So that leaves us with 24. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 2 times W is simply 2W. So now we've got our two-step equation. So in order to isolate the variable, get the variable by itself, you've got to get rid of 16. Think of this as 16 positive tiles, so you have to put 16 negative tiles with it. So 24 and 16 negative tiles, and 16 positive and 16 negative, and 2W. Now, 16 negatives and 16 positives become 0, leaving me with 2W. So on the right-hand side, I come down to 2W. 24 take away 16 is actually 8. So 8 is a result of 2W. So now, I'm multiplying by 2W. I think I'm going to go back over here to get some more room. I'm multiplying by 2, so I've got to divide by 2. This cancels out. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4 is our W. Now, to see if we're correct, we're going to go right back to the original equation we created. That was 24 is equal to 2 onto 8 plus W. Take out the W and put in our 4. We said W was 4. Now, let's find out if they balance. 8 plus 4 is 12. And 2 times 12 is 24. So you know you did it correctly. Okay, time for you to fly on your own. Bob bought souvenirs from a shop on his vacation. If the souvenirs were discounted by $3 and he ended up purchasing 6, how much was the cost of the souvenir if he spent $12? Create an equation that models this problem and solve it showing all the steps. So what I want you to do first is I want you to come up with the equations. So I'm going to pause the recording put your equation down, and then I'll tell you so you don't do all the solving of the wrong equation if you got it wrong. So pause the recording and get the creation. Create the equation. All right. See if the souvenirs are discounted by $3. I have to come up with something for the price. Okay, I'm going to use the X as the price. Now, it says here this price was discounted by $3. That means he got it for $3 off. He ended up purchasing 6 of them. So whatever they cost, he has 6 of them. And he ended up spending $12. Okay? So, what I need you to do now is to solve the equation. All right, here we go. So, 6x plus 6 on to negative 3 is equal to 12. That gives me 6x minus 18 is equal to 12. Now I've got to get rid of the negative 18. So 6x minus 18 plus 18, whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So 6x minus 0 is equal to 30. So 6x is equal to 30. Now I can take and divide by 6. These cancel. 1x is equal to 5. So x is 5. So each souvenir cost $5 originally. And there you go. All right, turn the page. Again, I want you to come up with the equation. All right, so Bob and 5 of his friends, now notice that's 6, went to an amusement park. It cost $12 to get in, and each of them purchased an unlimited ride ticket. If the total cost was $222, what was the cost of the unlimited ride ticket for each of them? Create an equation to model this problem and then solve it, showing all your steps. So first off, pause the recording and come up with your version of the equation. All right. First off, Bob and his friends went to an amusement park. It cost $12 to get in, and each of them purchased an unlimited ride. So they spent $12, and then they also purchased a ticket. All right, I'll use the unlimited ride ticket. I'll use T. And there was Bob and 5 of his friends. That's a total of 6. So 6 of them spent $12 plus the ticket, the unlimited ride ticket. And the total came up to be $222. Okay, so there, you may have had a different variable. You may not have used T. You could have used R for rides, or you could even use X if you wish. So pause the recording and solve this, please. All right, here we go. 6 on to 12 is first, plus 6 on to T is equal to 222. 6 times 12 is 72. 6 times T is 6T. So there's our expansion of our distribution law. Now I've got to get rid of the 72 first. So I'm going to take 72 from each side. All right, 72 take away 72 is 0. I still have my 6T. And 222 take away 72 is 150. So now I'm down to 6T is 150. Now I can do my dividing. I'm multiplying by T, so to undo it I divide by, I'm multiplying by 6, to undo it I divide by 6. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 150 divided by 6 is 25. So T is equal to 25. So, it's a word problem, so you need a sentence. Each ticket costs $25. Don't forget your units. There we go. Okay, again, same thing. Bob chose an integer. He added 5 to it. Then he multiplied the sum by 8, and he got a product of 184. What was the integer? So first off, I want you to come up with your equation. So pause this recording and come up with the equation. All right, so Bob chose an integer. Here's my integer. He added 5 to it. There we go. Then he multiplied the sum. Now remember, sum is the result of adding. It's an answer to an adding question. So whatever x plus 5 is, that's the sum. You're going to multiply this by 8. And he got a product, when it was all done, of 184. So that's what you should have. All right, so solve the equation and see how you do. All right, so our first job is to get rid of the distribution law. So it's 8 onto x plus 8 onto 5. Remember to show all your steps. No shortcuts allowed. In grade 9, we'll start showing you how you can speed things up. I've got 40 positives, so I'm going to take 40 negatives and put them with it. Whatever I do to one side, I've got to do to the other. So a positive 40 and a negative 40 is going to become 0. 184, take away 40 is 144. So now we're down to 8x is 144. So I'm multiplying by 8. So the opposite of multiplying by 8 is to divide by 8. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. 8 divided by 8 is 1. Keep the x, and 144 divided by 8 is 18. So x is equal to 18. So the question then is, what is the integer? The integer he chose was 18. All right. Now, if you want to know what's correct, all you have to do is go very quickly on your calculator. Go 18 plus 5. Okay. So 18 plus 5 is 23, and then multiply that by 8. If everything's correct, you'll get 184. So 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 2 is 16, and that's 18. So you know that you did it correctly. And you can do your verifying just as quickly, just like that. Okay, that's the last one. So start the assignment, and we will see you in the next lesson.